The unexpected arrival Captain Zara Voss stared at the blue planet through her ship's viewport, her three-fingered hands gripping the control console. Earth hung in the darkness of space like a jewel, beautiful and unsuspecting. For months, she had studied this world from afar, learning about its inhabitants and their primitive technology. Today, she would complete her mission and eliminate what the Dominion Council considered a growing threat to galactic peace. The ship's computer chimed softly, displaying tactical information in the air before her. Earth's defenses were laughably weak compared to Dominion technology. No energy shields, no plasma cannons, no faster-than-light communication networks. The humans had barely mastered space travel within their own solar system. It should be a simple task to demonstrate Dominion's superiority and force their surrender. Zara's reflection stared back at her from the dark viewport. Her silver-blue skin marked her as a member of the Dominion's elite military caste, while the neural implants behind her pointed ears connected her directly to the ship's systems. She had served the Dominion for 30 cycles, rising through the ranks by following orders without question. This mission was supposed to be her final test before promotion to the high command. The ship's artificial intelligence spoke in the eye, melodic tones of her home world. "Captain, we are approaching the designated landing coordinates. Shall I engage the cloaking device?" Zara considered the options. Her orders were clear. Make contact with the local human population, demonstrate superior technology, and demand their planet's immediate surrender to Dominion authority. If they refused, she was authorized to use whatever force necessary to secure compliance. The Dominion had identified Earth as a potential threat because of humanity's rapid technological advancement and their tendency to fight rather than submit. No. Cloaking, Zara decided. Let them see us coming. Fear will make them more cooperative. The ship descended through Earth's atmosphere, its hull glowing with the heat of entry. Zara had chosen a rural area in the North American continent for first contact. Intelligence reports suggested that humans in remote areas would be less likely to have advanced weapons or communication systems. She would establish her base of operations there and gradually expand her influence. The landing was smooth, touching, down in a wide meadow surrounded by rolling hills and forests. Through her sensors, Zara could detect a small human settlement nearby. Perfect. She would start with this community and use it as an example to convince the rest of the planet to surrender peacefully. Zara activated her personal force field and stepped out of the ship. The first thing that struck her was the smell of the air. Unlike the processed atmosphere of Dominion worlds, Earth's air carried the sense of growing things, of soil and flowers, and something else she couldn't identify. She paused, breathing deeply despite herself. The meadow was beautiful in a way. That surprised her. Dominion worlds were efficient, with carefully planned cities and controlled environments. This place felt wild and alive, with insects buzzing among colorful flowers and birds singing in the nearby trees. For a moment, Zara almost forgot why she was here. The sound of an approaching vehicle brought her back to the mission. A primitive, wheeled transport was moving across the meadow toward her ship. Zara activated her weapon systems and prepared for contact with the local humans. According to her intelligence, they should be frightened and confused by her appearance. The vehicle stopped about 50 meters away, and a single human emerged. Zara studied him through her enhanced vision. He was tall for a human, with dark hair and kind eyes behind primitive optical enhancers. He wore simple clothing and carried what appeared to be a medical kit rather than weapons. The human approached slowly, his hands visible and empty. When he was close enough to hear, he called out in the dominant local language, which Zara's implants translated automatically. "Hello there. I'm Dr. Marcus Chun. I run the veterinary clinic in town. Are you injured? Do you need help?" Zara stared. At him, confusion. This was not the response she had expected. Where was the fear, the aggression, the demands to know who she was and what she wanted? This human was offering assistance to a complete stranger who had just landed from space, in an obviously alien vessel. "I am Captain Zara Voss of the Dominion Fleet," she announced, her voice carrying through her ship's translation system. "I am here to speak with your leaders about your planet's surrender to Dominion authority." Dr. Chun tilted his head thoughtfully. "I see. Well, I'm not exactly a leader, but I'd be happy to listen. You've come a long way, haven't you? Would you like some water? Something to eat? You must be tired from your journey." Zara felt her certainty wavering. In all her years of military service, she had never encountered a response like this. When the Dominion made contact with new worlds, the inhabitants typically reacted with fear, anger, or desperate attempts to negotiate. This human was treating her like a guest who had traveled across the galaxy for a social visit. "I do not require sustenance," she said, though she found herself curious about what this human would offer. "I am here to deliver an ultimatum from the Dominion Council. Your species has been identified as a potential threat to galactic stability. You must cease all technological development and accept Dominion oversight, or face the consequences." Dr. Chan nodded seriously. "That sounds like a big decision. I'm afraid I really can't make that kind of choice for everyone. But while you're here, would you mind taking a look at something? I've got a patient who could really use some help, and you obviously have advanced medical knowledge." Before Zara could respond, the human was walking toward his vehicle. Against her better judgment, she found herself following. Dr. Chun opened the back of his transport to reveal a small animal lying on a soft blanket. It was obviously injured, its breathing labored and its eyes clouded with pain. "This is Luna," Dr. Chun said gently, stroking the animal's fur. "She's a wolf who was hit by a car yesterday. I've done what I can, but she's not responding to treatment. I was actually heading out to the meadow to gather some medicinal herbs when I saw your ship land." Zara stared at the injured animal. On Dominion worlds, wild creatures were either useful or eliminated. The concept of a human dedicating his life to healing animals was foreign to her experience. Yet she could see the genuine concern in Dr. Chun's eyes, a careful way he touched the wolf, the obvious bond between them. "Why do you help it?" she asked. "It serves no purpose to your society." Dr. Chun looked at her with surprise. "She doesn't need to serve a purpose. She's alive, she's suffering, and I can help her. That's enough." He paused, studying Zara's face. "You have healing technology, don't you? I can see it in your equipment. Could you help her?" Zara found herself activating her medical scanner without consciously deciding to do so. The device quickly analyzed the wolf's condition, identifying internal injuries that were indeed beyond primitive human medicine. Her training told her to ignore the animal and focus on her mission, but something about the human's trust and compassion made her hesitate. "Step back," she told Dr. Chun, activating her healing beam. The device bathed the wolf in gentle blue, light, repairing damaged tissue and restoring normal function. Within minutes, the animal's breathing eased and its eyes cleared. Luna raised her head and looked around with obvious relief. Dr. Chun's face lit up with joy and gratitude. "Thank you," he said quietly. "Thank you so much. You saved her life." Zara felt something she had never experienced before, a warm sensation in her chest that had nothing to do with her ship's life support systems. She had used her technology to heal rather than harm, and the result was not strategic advantage, but simple happiness. The human's gratitude was genuine and given freely, asking nothing in return. "It was nothing," she said, though she found herself watching as Dr. Chun gently helped Luna to her feet. The wolf was still weak, but obviously much better. She nuzzled against the human's hand in what appeared to be an expression of thanks. "Would you like to see the town?" Dr. Chun asked. "I mean, if you have time before you need to talk to those leaders. People would be excited to meet someone from another world. My daughter Sarah runs the local coffee shop, and she makes the best pie in 3 counties. Zara felt her mission protocols conflicting with something new and unexpected. She was supposed to demonstrate Dominion superiority and demand surrender. But this human was offering friendship and homemade food, treating her not as a conqueror, but as a guest. For the first time in her military career, she was curious about something other than tactical advantages. "I have time," she heard herself saying, "but I must warn you, I am not here as a tourist. My government considers your species dangerous." Dr. Chun chuckled. "Dangerous? Have you met us? We can barely agree on what to have for dinner, let alone conquer the galaxy. Come on, I'll show you around. You can judge for yourself how dangerous we are." As they walked toward the town, Zara found herself seeing Earth through new eyes. The buildings were small and varied, each one different from the others. Gardens grew wild and colorful around the houses, and children played in the streets without fear. It was chaotic and inefficient compared to Dominion standards, but there was something appealing about the variety and life. Asterisk. The townspeople's reactions to her presence surprised her even more than Dr. Chun's had. Instead of running or attacking, they gathered around with curiosity and welcome. Children asked innocent questions about her ship and her home world. Adults offered food and drink, eager to share their culture with a visitor from the stars. At the coffee shop, Dr. Chun's daughter Sarah greeted Zara with the same warmth her father had shown. She was a woman in her 30s, with her father's kind eyes and a quick smile. She set down a slice of apple pie and a cup of coffee without being asked. "Dad called ahead," she explained. "He said you might be hungry after your long trip. This is my grandmother's recipe. She always said good food was the best way to welcome strangers." Zara tasted the pie cautiously. The flavors were complex and satisfying in a way that Dominion nutrition supplements never were. As she ate, she listened to the conversations around her. People were discussing community projects, sharing news about their families, planning festivals and celebrations. There was no talk of conquest or dominance, no scheming for power or resources. "Your species is not what I expected," Zara admitted. To Dr. Chun, as they sat in their coffee shop, "What did you expect?" he asked. "Warriors, conquerors, beings who would fight to expand their territory and dominate others. The Dominion Council believes humans are a threat because of your technological advancement and your history of conflict." Dr. Chun nodded thoughtfully. "We do have conflicts, that's true, and we've made mistakes in our past. But most of us just want to live our lives in peace, take care of our families, and help our neighbors. We're not perfect, but we're trying to be better." As the day wore on, Zara found herself drawn deeper into the life of the small town. She helped Dr. Chun with his veterinary work, using her medical knowledge to heal injured animals. She watched children play games that required cooperation rather than competition. She attended a community meeting where citizens discussed how to solve local problems through collective action. By evening, she realized that everything she had been told about humans was wrong. They were not a threat to galactic peace. They were a species struggling to find their place in the universe, just like every other intelligent race. The difference was that humans seemed to care about things beyond their own survival and advancement. As the sun set over the town, Zara stood in the meadow where her ship waited. Her mission was clear, but her heart was conflicted. She had come to Earth as a conqueror, but she was leading as something else entirely. The humans had shown her kindness, trust, and compassion without asking for anything in return. They had made her feel welcome, in a way that her own people never had. Her ship's communication system chimed with an incoming message. Commander Thex's face appeared on the screen, his expression stern and expectant. Captain Voss, report your status. Have you secured the surrender of the human settlement? Zara looked at the screen and back at the lights of the town where people were gathering for an evening festival. Children were laughing, adults were sharing food and stories. And somewhere in the crowd, Dr. Chun was probably helping another injured animal. Commander, she said slowly, I need more time to complete my assessment. The situation here is more complex than our intelligence indicated. Complex how, Captain? You have superior technology and training. These humans should pose no challenge to a Dominion officer. Zara thought about Luna the wolf, now healthy and free because of a choice to heal rather than harm. She thought about Sarah's pie and her grandmother's recipe for welcoming strangers. She thought about the community meeting where citizens work together to solve problems. They are not what we expected, Commander. I request permission to conduct a more thorough investigation before taking action. Commander Thex's expression hardened. Captain, your orders are clear. You will demonstrate Dominion superiority and secure their surrender. If they refuse, you will use whatever force necessary to ensure compliance. Is that understood? Understood, Commander, Zara replied, though her heart was no longer in agreement with her words. As the communication ended, Zara stood alone in the meadow, caught between duty and conscience. Tomorrow, she would have to make a choice that would change everything. She could follow her orders and destroy the peace she had found, or she could do something unprecedented in Dominion history. She could choose to stay. The choice that changed everything. The morning sun painted the meadow in shades of gold as Zara stood before her ship, watching the peaceful town wake up. She had spent the night wrestling with her conscience, her Dominion, training warring with everything she had learned about humanity. The decision she made today would echo across the galaxy, but for the first time in her military career, she knew what she had to do. Dr. Chun arrived early, carrying a thermos of coffee and a small bag. I thought you might want some breakfast, he said, offering her a warm pastry. Sarah made these this morning. She said you seemed to enjoy the pie yesterday. Zara accepted the food gratefully. The simple gesture of kindness, repeated again and again by these humans, had slowly worn away her certainty about the Dominion's mission. How could beings capable of such compassion be a threat to galactic peace? Dr. Chun, she said carefully, I need to tell you something important. My people are not coming here to trade or make friends. They see humanity as a threat that must be controlled or eliminated. Marcus set down his coffee and looked at her seriously. I figured it was something like that. Military ships don't usually land in remote meadows for social visits. What are you going to do? I don't know, Zara admitted. My orders are clear, but everything I've learned about your species contradicts what I was told. You are not the aggressive conquerors the Dominion Council believes you to be. We're not perfect, Marcus said. We've made mistakes, fought wars, hurt each other and our planet, but we're learning. We're trying to be better than we were. Before Zara could respond, her ship's proximity alarms began sounding. 3 Dominion vessels were approaching Earth's atmosphere, their sleek forms cutting through the morning sky like silver daggers. Commander Thex had grown impatient with their delay and was bringing reinforcements. Are those more of your people? Marcus asked, shading his eyes to watch the approaching ships. Yes, Zara said grimly. And they're not here to talk. The lead ship landed in the meadow beside Zara's vessel, and Commander Thex emerged with a squad of armed soldiers. He was tall, even by Dominion standards, his dark blue skin marked with the scars of countless battles. His eyes found Zara immediately, and his expression was one of cold disappointment. Captain Voss, he said, his voice carrying the authority of absolute command. "You have failed to complete your mission. These humans should have surrendered by now, or been eliminated as a threat." "Commander," Zara replied, stepping forward to place herself between Vex and Dr. Chun. "I have been conducting a thorough investigation, as I reported. The humans pose no threat to the Dominion. They are a peaceful species focused on healing and community." Vex's laugh was harsh and without humor. "Peaceful? Our intelligence shows they have weapons capable of destroying entire cities. They have explored space and established colonies on other worlds. They are exactly the kind of aggressive species that threatens galactic stability." "They use their technology to heal," Zara protested. "I have seen them save lives, help each other, build communities based on cooperation rather than domination." "You have been compromised," X said flatly. "Your judgment is no longer reliable. Stand aside, Captain. I will complete this mission myself." Zara felt the weight of her decision crystallizing. She could step aside and watch as Vex demonstrated Dominion superiority to the people who had shown her kindness. She could follow orders and be part of the destruction of the first place she had ever felt truly welcome. Or she could do something unprecedented in Dominion history. "No," she said quietly. The word hung in the air like a challenge. Vex's expression shifted from disappointment to anger. "What did you say, Captain?" "I said no." Zara's voice grew stronger. "I will not stand aside while you destroy innocent people. These humans have done nothing to threaten the Dominion. They deserve to live in peace." Vex drew his weapon, a plasma rifle that could reduce a human to ash in seconds. "You are in violation of direct orders, Captain. Stand down immediately, or face the consequences." Dr. Chun stepped forward, his hands raised peacefully. "Wait," he said. "If you're going to hurt someone, hurt me. I'm the one who showed Captain Voss around town. If anyone is responsible for changing her mind, it's me." "Marcus, no," Zara said, but the human continued speaking. "You came here because you think we're dangerous, right? That we're some kind of threat to your galactic peace? Look at us. Really look at us. We're just trying to live our lives, raise our children, help our neighbors. How is that threatening?" More vehicles were approaching from the town. Sheriff Sarah Rodriguez arrived with several deputies, followed by other townspeople who had seen the ship's landing. Instead of running or hiding, they came to support their friends. Sarah stepped out of her patrol car, her hand resting on her weapon, but not drawing it. "Dr. Chun, is everything all right?" she called out. "We're fine, Sarah," Marcus replied. "Just having a conversation with some visitors from space." Commander Vex looked around at the gathering humans with disgust. "You see, they are already mobilizing against us. This is exactly the kind of aggressive behavior that makes them dangerous." "They're protecting their community," Zara said. "They're not attacking you. They're showing loyalty to their friends. Loyalty to their own kind at the expense of galactic order," Vex snapped. "Captain, you will step aside now, or I will have you arrested for treason." Zara made her choice. She activated her personal force field and raised her own weapon, placing herself directly between Vex and the humans. "If you want to hurt them, you'll have to go through me." The moment stretched taut with tension. Vex's soldiers raised their weapons, but they seemed uncertain about firing on their own captain. The humans watched nervously, clearly outmatched, but refusing to abandon their friends. "You would betray your own species for these primitives," Vex demanded. "I would protect innocent people from unnecessary violence," Zara replied. "That's what I thought I was doing when I joined the Dominion military. I thought we were peacekeepers, not conquerors." "We are peacekeepers," Vex said coldly. "We maintain order by eliminating threats before they can spread chaos through the galaxy. These humans will eventually turn their weapons on each other and on us. It is inevitable. Then why haven't they already? Zara asked. They've had these weapons for decades. If they were naturally aggressive, wouldn't they have used them by now? Dr. Chun stepped forward again. Captain Voss is right. We've made mistakes, but we're trying to learn from them. We've established international laws, peace treaties, organizations dedicated to preventing war. We're not perfect, but we're getting better. Words, Vex dismissed. All species claim to be peaceful when faced with superior force. But given time and opportunity, they all revert to their true nature. What if you're wrong? Zara asked. What if these humans really are trying to build a better society? What? If we destroy something beautiful and unique because we're too afraid to take a chance? Vex's response was to fire his weapon. The plasma blast struck Zara's force field, which held for a moment before beginning to flicker. She wouldn't be able to withstand another direct hit. But before Vex could fire again, something unexpected happened. The humans moved forward, forming a protective circle around Zara. They had no force fields, no advanced weapons, no technology that could protect them from plasma fire. All they had was courage, and the decision to stand with someone who had stood with them. You want to hurt her, you'll have to hurt all of us, Sheriff Rodriguez said firmly. And we're not going to make it easy for you. Vex stared at the scene in disbelief. You would die for an alien? For someone who isn't even your species? She's our friend, Dr. Chun said simply. She helped us, showed us kindness, treated us with respect. That's what friendship means. This is exactly what I'm talking about, Vex said to his soldiers. Look at how quickly they corrupt others with their twisted ideas about loyalty and sacrifice. They're more dangerous than we thought. But Zara could see uncertainty in the faces of Vex's soldiers. They had trained to fight enemies, not to massacre civilians who were trying to protect their friend. The human display of courage and loyalty was having an effect even on hardened Dominion warriors. Commander, one of the soldiers said hesitantly, perhaps we should reconsider. These humans don't seem to be acting aggressively. They're defending their territory, Vex snapped. That's the first sign of a warlike species. No, Zara said, her voice carrying clearly across the meadow. They're defending their values. There's a difference. She lowered her weapon and stepped forward, moving away from the protective circle of humans. Commander, I formally request permission to study these humans further. I believe our intelligence about their species is flawed. Denied, Vex said immediately. You are relieved of command, Captain. You will return to Dominion space for court-martial and rehabilitation. Then I resign my commission, Zara said. The words came out more easily than she had expected. I choose to stay here. The declaration sent shockwaves through both groups. Vex's soldiers looked stunned, while the humans seemed amazed that someone would give up their entire life to stay with them. You cannot resign, Vex said. You are property of the Dominion state. You will return with us or be taken by force. I am not property, Zara said firmly. I am a sentient being with the right to choose my own path. And I choose to stay with people who understand the value of compassion over conquest. The standoff stretched on, but Zara could see that she had won something important. Vex's soldiers were no longer pointing their weapons at the humans. They were looking at their commander with questions in their eyes, seeing him perhaps for the first time as someone who would use force against people who had shown only kindness. Very well, Vex said finally. You have made your choice, Captain. But understand that this changes nothing. The Dominion will return with a larger force. These humans will be dealt with, and you will be taken into custody. Then we'll be ready. Sheriff Rodriguez said quietly. Captain Voss can teach us about your technology, your tactics. We might be primitive, but we're not stupid. X's expression grew cold. You think you can resist the Dominion? You have no idea what you're up against. Maybe not, Dr. Chun said, but we know what we're fighting for. We're fighting for the right to choose our own path, to build the kind of society we want to live in. That's worth any risk. As Thex and his soldiers prepared to leave, one of them approached Zara. He was young, probably on his first mission beyond Dominion space. "Captain," he said quietly, "is it true? Are these humans really peaceful?" Zara looked at the townspeople still gathered around her, ordinary people who had risked their lives to protect someone they barely knew. "See for yourself," she said. "Judge with your own eyes, not with intelligence reports." The young soldier nodded and returned to his ship, but Zara could see him thinking about what he had witnessed. Seeds of doubt had been planted, and that might be more important than any military victory dot as the Dominion ships lifted off. Zara found herself surrounded by humans offering comfort and support. They didn't ask what she had given up or what it would cost her. They simply accepted her as one of their own. "So what now?" Dr. Chun asked as they watched the ships disappear into the sky. "Now we prepare," Zara said. "The Dominion will return with a larger force, but we have something they don't expect." "What's that?" Sheriff Rodriguez asked. "We have each other," Zara replied, "and we have the truth. The galaxy is full of species who have been told that the Dominion way is the only way. But now they'll hear about a different choice." In the days that followed, Zara shared her knowledge freely. She taught human scientists about Dominion technology, helped military leaders understand alien tactics, and worked with communication specialists to send messages to other worlds. The story of the captain who chose compassion over conquest began to spread through the galaxy, carried by traders, explorers, and even some Dominion soldiers who had witnessed the events on Earth. The response was immediate and powerful. On dozens of worlds, beings began to question Dominion authority. They asked why peace required the threat of destruction, why order demanded the elimination of diversity. Some planets formally requested withdrawal from Dominion oversight. Others simply stopped responding to Dominion communications. When the Dominion finally returned to Earth 6 months later, they found a world transformed. Humans had combined their own ingenuity with Zara's knowledge to create defenses that could match Dominion technology. But more importantly, they were not alone. Ships from a dozen different species had come to Earth, drawn by the story of the captain who chose to stay. Asterisk. The final confrontation was not the battle the Dominion had expected. Instead of a simple conquest, they faced a coalition of species united by a common belief in the right to choose their own destiny. The war that followed was not fought with weapons alone, but with ideas, with proof that cooperation could be stronger than domination. And at the center of it all was Zara Voss, the alien captain who had come to Earth as a conqueror, but stayed as a friend. She had found something among the humans that the Dominion had never offered her, a home where she was valued not for her usefulness, but for her choices. Years later, as she stood in the same meadow where she had first landed, Zara reflected on the path that had brought her here. She had given up rank, privilege, and the certainty of her old life. In return, she had found purpose, friendship, and the knowledge that she had helped change the galaxy. The humans had taught her that the greatest strength was not in the ability to destroy, but in the courage to choose compassion over conquest. And that lesson had spread across the stars, carried by beings who had once lived in fear of the Dominion, but now dared to hope for something better. The captain who had come to Earth to demand surrender had instead found a reason to stay. And in staying, she had helped transform not just her own destiny, but the destiny of countless worlds across the galaxy.